Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world. Welcome to Gift of Healing TV. I'm Sara Jane, and I am delighted today. Well, I've got three of my hoped for guests for today. Janine Savient. Janine, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Such a pleasure to be here with you all. Thank you, Sara.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Mary Jo Halligan. Mary Jo, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Sara. Lovely to be here with you and your listeners.
And Steve Halligan, which is why they're both together. Steve, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
These three lovely people, and Gwenda, if she gets to join us, are co-authors in a new book, including myself, called Gifts of Wisdom, that is coming out on the 8th of October. I'm going to say 2024 in case you're watching this way in the future, in which case it's already out. And the book is called Gifts of Wisdom. Now, the thought for this program was because I'm in the UK and these lovely people are in New Zealand, and if Gwenda joins us, she's in Australia. And so I thought it'd be lovely to have sort of four of my co-authors with me on the program, sharing a little bit about the gifts of wisdom found within life's experiences. I know we've all shared aspects within the book of our bit of life story, what we've learned from it, and sort of tips for people so that sort of potentially our experiences can support them. And I think that I hope the same goes for all of you, but we all have our own feelings about, you know, why we have done this. And so actually maybe that's a good place to start. I will come to you first, Janine. What was your inspiration for your feeling for actually doing this book and sharing your gifts of wisdom?
Well, Sara, I love writing. I love the word. So I love typing my messages. I love speaking my messages. But I love that the wisdom that comes through in the moment of being with someone, either online or in person, or through a typed message. And so I write on social media every day of the week to support people, and often I'm just found sitting at my typewriter. I have typewriter. That's an old-fashioned term, isn't it? Typewriter. Sitting at my computer, at my keyboard, I have files and files and files of writing. So for me, David had been wanting me on his platform had given me an invitation to be on the platform about 6 years ago. He told me he'd been waiting 6 years. And then I got this pull to make contact with him, and I thought it was to be on his platform as an interview, which is happening anyway. But it wasn't until I was talking to him and he mentioned the book that I felt it immediately in my heart, and I thought, this is the reason. So it felt really deeply profound to be part of this book, and it's been an incredible experience. The really interesting thing for me is I had worked out my topic like 2 or 3 months before the date that we started writing. I had it sorted and had gone over little bits of that in my mind. And yeah, it was something that I know so well about, and to do with the frequency of love. And then on the very morning that we were to start writing, I woke up that morning with a completely different topic and went into a real panic. So, oh my gosh, no. Like it was sitting there and no, I can't do that. I don't even know all about that. And all I got was this reassurance to say, go and sit at your keyboard and put your hands above the keys and open your heart into the flow. So that's what I did. And I had the whole chapter written in 24 hours with backwards and forwards with a bit of formatting and stuff like that. And so it's been a really interesting experience for me, because I had it written and I thought, great, 24 hours, it's done. But actually, that first 24-hour written copy is only, of course, the very, very beginning of the journey of the chapter, and then there's pieces, and then I had like twice as many words as I could have in it. So then I had to cut it down and cut it down and cut it down, and I found that every time I cut it down, I was actually increasing the word count in it. I have no idea how that was happening, but I was increasing the word count every time I went in to cut it down. So it's all, but every part of it has been a massive learning for me. This is my second book collaboration, but the first one was about 4 years ago, and was not as involved as we are in this one. So there wasn't a journey leading into it. There wasn't a group meeting every couple of weeks, So it was a very different process. And so this has been like a multi-leveled journey for me, and I've absolutely loved it, really and truly have loved it. I've loved the connections globally, having these really beautiful new connections with people, the touching of hearts, the recognition in each other. Everybody's got their own pathway they walk on. Everybody's got their own story, and we've all come together, and we've created this amazing book. And I've been told in communication that it's what's known as an activated book. So therefore, as people are reading it, they are activated. There's activations going on through the words. And this is the new book for the new world sort of thing. It's all books from now on. Books that people do through their hearts will be activated books. So there's a big difference. And it's been an amazing journey. I'm so pleased that I went with my heart feeling, and I stepped forward and am part of the group and part of this collaboration.
Oh, brilliant. So when David contacted me about it, he said, "Sarah, have you got any thoughts?" I said, "Yes, ask Janine."
I was really tickled to see you were in the group as well, Sarah. Oh, here's Sarah. Oh, I feel much better now,
And we should have Gwenda with us, fingers crossed. But Steve, let's come to you this time. Just share what attracted you, what drew you to being part of this book?
Well, how could I refuse to be part of an activation book? Not that I knew it was an activation book when I found out about the project. I would say it's the whole idea of being an author in a chapter in a book was completely, beyond me. I never even thought about it until I got the invite kind of through Mary Jo, through Janine, and then having a chat with Davis, the main author guy. And just for a bit of context, I do enjoy writing. I enjoy writing poetry, but I never thought of myself as an author of a book, or I never had any big aspirations to write a book. That's kind of changed now. I've definitely got some ideas and confidence in that. And even with the poetry, I used to write late teens and early 20s, and then I kind of moved away from it. And Mary Jo will can testify to some of my poetry. And I've got it. I don't have folders like Janine, but I do have poetry lying in my notes in my phone and in old folders and journals and that. So it's kind of all over the place. It is my intention to kind of collate it and put it together into maybe a book, who knows? But like Janine says, the journey of this chapter in the book has been really insightful. Hi, Gwenda. And yes, I've really enjoyed the process and the support and the collaboration and the community. Thoroughly enjoyable so far.
Brilliant, Steve. Thank you. Hi, Gwenda.
Hello, Sara Jane. Hi, Steve. Hi, Mary Jo. And I'm sorry, I don't know the other lady.
Janine.
You don't know Janine?
Hi, Janine. How are you?
Hi. Thanks, Gwenda.
Great that you've been able to join us. I've basically Janine shared and Steve's just finished sharing. I've basically been sort of saying, share what sort of actually drew you to actually writing this chapter. So I'll give you a chance just to sort of sort of settle a bit, as you've only just joined us. And I'll go to Mary Jo first, and then I'll come to you. So Mary Jo.
Well, yeah, we're all a bit connected here because it was Janine that invited me to take a look at what was being on offer from David and through this book, and being an author writing a chapter. And initially I had a quick look, but I wasn't in the place to say yes to it. Myself and Steve has been in a lot of big transitions this last 12 months. And I was kind of in that. And then after a few weeks, I realized that certain things were coming my way, and I had been kind of pushing them away and not really being open to them. And so I got the inspiration one day that it was time to actually relook at some of these opportunities that were coming in front of me, that I was kind of turning my nose off, and so I went back to it. I had a look, and I just started saying yes. I started saying yes to the book and a few other things. And again, just I guess in terms of the writing, I feel like there's been a blossoming writer wanting to get out of me, but it's had a bit of a tough time because there's been a lot of trauma around writing, especially in my childhood and education, and just around that, and languaging and being a bit dyslexic, or at least just around grammar and all that kind of stuff. So there was a lot of resistance in my inner child, or my subconscious programming around, especially writing on the computer, and so my writing tended to come out in Facebook posts, because that didn't seem like so serious. So anything to do with serious writing was a bit of an off-put for me, and yet I've had titles for books and my own memoir for so many years, it's embarrassing. But I think the whole structure of the invitation and just saying yes, and then discovering just how supported, how collaborative it is. It's been an amazing process. I'm so grateful for it. It's been supportive. It's been I think it's everything you could possibly wish for in a book collaboration. And I've never done one before, but at least for my nervous system, and like really calibrating in not only writing a book, but how you can do it in a way that it's not just about the book. It is actually about the journey that we've all taken uniquely and together to write our chapters, to share our authentic story. And as Janine said, a story that is activating from our inner wisdom, and to put that into one chapter as well. I definitely was cutting back the words, Janine. But it was interesting. One thing that happened as I was writing is I really didn't have an attachment, and it was easy to cut back the words for me, which was actually kind of surprising. And I was really, it was like I was more in the flow of the writer, just, like not being so attached. And that was really nice to discover as something, during the process. So, that's really, it's been a joy. It's been a joy, and it's a continuous adventure, actually. We haven't even published yet.
Not at the time we're recording this.
Soon.
Gwenda, share what drew you to actually being part of this book, Gifts of Wisdom.
Thank you, Sara Jane. Well, I made this mistake in my interview and when I did my chapter reading, but I cannot tell a lie. What drew me was wisdom of the elders.
Yeah.
And being an elder in my family, having that knowledge, ancient knowledge from our family history. Our family are Wadandi Noongar of the southwest of Western Australia. So the word elders holds a very special resonance and a very special importance. I was raised with grandparents and fortunate enough to have some great grandparents in my earlier childhood. When I went through my nursing years and I watched the way that family connections changed, and even in my own marriage that wasn't the best choice, so I ended up being a single mother. Then over the years, finding that young mothers seem to struggle so much. And I was talking to a fellow nursing friend who is actually a childcare nurse, midwife. And I said to her, what is the deal with these women these days that, you know, with their babies and with their children? And she said, you know, most of them don't even know how to boil an egg. And I said, oh, don't be silly. How can that be? And she said they don't have a family network that we had. They don't have a mother that is at home that can help them. They don't have grandparents because so many families split and go different corners of the world. And I was like, oh, my gosh. And, you know, because I had all that network, I guess I took it for granted. I thought that's the way life is. And I was always there for my kids. I had to work full time as a single mother, but I was there. But what I didn't realise was so was my mother, so was my grandmother, so were my sisters, so were my aunties. I'm like, wow. So when this came forward and it was to be the wisdom of the elders, it just jumped at my heart. And I so wanted to be a part of it because in the work that I do, essentially, it's all about bringing people to their own power and uniting them with that, and also with whatever ancestry, so elders' ancestry that they can tap into. So it really spoke to me. But as we know, as co-authors, it changed. But that is the truth of why I decided that this was something I wanted to be a part of. It just resonated so much with my heart and my soul's work. So what can I say? There it is.
But do you know what? I'm 100% with you there. When sort of David contacted me and he said it was elder wisdom, and it was just like, yes, because actually I can class myself as an elder these days, you know. And so that really spoke to me. And I actually think from what you were saying about this being an activation book, Janine, I actually feel it's because it's the elder aspect. I know we've got younger people who are also adding to this, and I totally get why they changed it to gifts of wisdom, because obviously they wish to attract a much wider audience, and some youngsters or younger people may not read something that says elder in it, and I hope they haven't missed the elders. I hope those people will read this as well. Yes, I was drawn for that elder bit. I've always known my story, and I know how powerful it is, and I know the experiences it has given me, and I don't have an attachment to my story in respect of the pain and the hurt, the trauma it caused. I can speak it and listen to people's reaction without it affecting me, but knowing that it's a gift to others. Whatever you've been through, you can come through it. It's not a matter of getting over it. You can come through it. And so that was very much sort of my feeling on it, sort of that it's yes. And I think we just all felt drawn to do it. And I think, I know I have, but I think we've potentially all learnt something in this process, whether it's from somebody else, whether the experience of it. And so if you've got something that you've learnt from this process, because life is a journey, and this has been part of our lives. This has been part of our journey. We aren't just here to share our gifts, but the gifts things that we participate in are the things that bring us further gifts. So let's come back to you, Mary Jo. Let's do this in a different order. Share sort of something from this experience of this book, because if we stick with the book, but it's also part of life experience, a gift you feel it's brought to you.
Well, first I just want to mention about what you're talking about, the elder wisdom, because the word wisdom really definitely has always appealed to me. Even as a young child, I felt wise. I felt like I had an old soul wisdom, and sometimes people would remark that. And I really couldn't understand why people didn't want to sit around and counsel with me, because a lot of the stuff I seen around me, I knew that it wasn't necessary. It didn't need to be so traumatic and chaotic, and I could see the patterns and stuff. So that's why I love the gifts of wisdom, because I really do feel that wisdom can be at any age, and I do feel a lot of these younger people, not saying all, but a lot of them are old souls, and they come in with a lot of wisdom. So, for me, the most striking word was wisdom. Wisdom. To me, wisdom is the gold that we need on this planet right now to temper the quickening of change and technology and everything, just to keep everything nice and balanced and in harmony. So right, about the actual book. Wow. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing has been a gift. It has been a gift of, what I just mentioned before. If there's any one thing, I guess the greatest gift probably, and thank you so much, Janine, for inviting me into this project and following your intuitive hit or whatever guided you. But it's really been a bridge into this, into saying yes to the writer within, and to the authorship journey, and to have more enlightenment and awareness and understanding of what actually is involved, to demystify it. And again, what is wisdom but demystifying what seems, complicated or out of reach? It's the gems of, boiling stuff down into a certain wisdom or simplicity. And so, that makes something accessible that might have seemed out of reach, or felt out of reach, or too hard basket. So I think it's really demonstrated how the journey, and because often I would have thought like writing is this very solo thing, especially writing a book, and I know it can be, but to see it in collaboration is just, it's been amazing. It's just been so the support from the publishing company, and just the attitude and approach, it just has resonated so much. It really has. I feel like it's rewritten my subconscious script around writing, and that's what I really needed, to have more of a yes and confidence moving forward into whatever is next, into this next chapter, pardon the pun.
Gwenda.
For me, the journey, sitting with other authors in the book and hearing how they have translated their life experiences, how they have taken the wisdom from that, how it has changed their lives. So to actually sit with so many other people that share a similar want of their message out into the world, to be able to contribute to other people's healing, to contribute to transformation on a mass consciousness as well as an individual, that was my greatest joy of being in this project. Thank you.
Janine.
Okay, twofold for me. One part of it is that it's given me it's kind of like being a key in the door, and it's unlocked the door to me writing my own book. I've had so many people over so many years saying, we're waiting for your book. When's your book coming out? I hope you're putting all this in a book, I hear it, and a couple of times I've started, and then I've got bored with it. And now it's like the door's open. It's been such a wonderful gift to be part of this collaboration. The first collaboration I was part of a few years ago didn't do what this has done for me, because it's such a beautiful group, and you know, we're all different. Of course, we're all uniquely different in our view of life, and we've all come together and we've created this container of magic, and powerful magic, and that's really motivated me to bring all my writings that are. I could probably put about 3 or 4 books together with everything that I've got, but you know, but to do something with all that, and even the chapter that I wrote, because it changed on the very day that we started writing, and I had doubt about it until I didn't. It felt important to me to get that out into the world, that piece. And then I had doubt over it, so I sent it to one of the other writers, and she just said to me, "Janine, humanity needs to read this," and was like, "Oh, phew, I can breathe again," because I can be a little out there at times, but it's just my truth, you know. So I was quite pleased about that. But yes, as I say, there's 2 different beautiful gems in this for me, and I think I'll carry the appreciation or the gratitude for this time with this particular book for a very long time. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve?
Similar to Janine, really, like it's been a real unlocking of the door to what wonderful possibilities can come from this. For me personally, to share more in writing, whether it's on blogs or a book or another collaboration, and just realizing and knowing that each of us has some wisdom to share, and there's value in it, and someone somewhere will resonate with what someone is sharing, and other people will not resonate, but there's what we have to share will resonate with somebody, that's for sure. And that's been a gift, and just the whole process has been eye-opening and enlightening for me, I must say, and continues.
And the joy of getting to do it together, that was a surprise.
Yes.
So it's just the first time we write a chapter, first time together in the first published book. So I mean, we'll be forever, you know, this will always have a place in our heart, this journey, this experience, this opportunity.
I remember when we were starting the writing process, Mary Jo got into it one evening and she had 600 words, and I was like, what? And I hadn't even started, and then I started panicking. And then it took me like 4 or 5 days before I started. I was like, oh, it's not coming. And then I get into it, and then I pretty much finished my chapter really quickly, and then Mary Jo was lagging behind. It was so funny. Yeah.
So it's been a real fun journey behind the scenes for us too as well.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Sadly, I say sadly, but maybe this, and I was thinking, should I share this? Shouldn't I share this? And I'm thinking, do you know what? It's really important. There have been aspects of this that I actually haven't been that happy with, which is, and it made me understand, because I was very aware of feeling unwanted, unloved, not good enough because of the story that I shared in the book. What I hadn't actually registered, for crying out loud, I am 66, but I hadn't registered how much anger there was inside of me. And this has been a real gift to me. So it's, okay, fine. You know, sort of, I know that when I was younger, I'm a Taurus, I'm a bull, for crying out loud, you know, sort of, and I can get angry, but I also bottle, or correction, I used to bottle. And so when I exploded, goodness gracious me, you didn't want to be anywhere near me. You really didn't. And it didn't happen very often, but anybody who witnessed it never wanted to witness it again. So there's so much anger bottled in me, and I just thought, okay, fine. And I have learnt and I have very seriously learned, when you're not happy with something, you say so, or you just have to get on with it, but you have to find a way to let it go. And because the letting go is really important. So I am so grateful to this experience. The connection has been amazing. And losing the connection, obviously, I already knew you, Janine. I had never met Gwenda, Mary Jo, Steve. I hadn't met a number of the other authors, but I had met some of them. So the connection this has created, and it's a worldwide connection. So my gratitude is very much there for the connection, but it is also, my gratitude is there for the helping me to realize that there is an aspect of me that I just hadn't been aware of. And it was obviously time. This is the gift this has given me. It's the time for me to become aware of it, to work with it, so that I can fully, at some stage when it's ready to, fully let it go. And I think having a gift like that from anything, whatever it may be, is really important. And have I said anything much? No, I haven't. Because I know sort of, that we've got characters writing this book. We have really got characters writing this book. And I think the term got used at one stage, baby throwing their toys out of the pram. And I wasn't going to be one of those. I've chosen to be part of this. I agreed to be part of this, and I've stayed a part of it because I appreciate that each and every one of our stories, all 22 of us, make this book the powerful book of wisdom that it is. There's nothing in me that is angry about what it's caused in me. In fact, I have a huge amount of gratitude for that. And yes, okay, I'm going to, and maybe this is the next question to a certain degree. Gratitude for things that happen in our lives, for me, is a great way of acknowledging them, and for helping us, as I said before, get through them. It's not about getting over it, it's about getting through it. It's about working with it. It's about the acknowledging of it. And gratitude for the gifts that brings. I know it's very difficult with some experiences in life when we're having them to see it as a gift. And I do look back at my life, and I actually believe that a lot of the things that have happened to me have been gifts I have given myself in the journey that I'm here to have. And this book is one of those. So thinking about the things that have happened in your life, and whether there's something potentially other than the book, so we're encouraging people to then go out and get the book and read it. Is there something that's happened in your life that has been an awakening, whatever, that you really feel has supported the change in your life? And I'm going to come to you first, Steve.
I'd say the most thing that was pivotal for me was to move away from home in the west of Ireland, where I grew up, and to go traveling and just to experience different cultures and a different way of life and a different way of being, and meeting new people. That really was humbling and so experiential, that had a profound effect on me and my journey, which, continued to develop a passion for traveling and experiencing all that through the years. So yeah, traveling, opening my mind to, meditation, yoga, and all the delights that when we went together to India, that had, such impact on me. So I would say that I didn't have any one moment that I could say was an awakening moment. I think it's been gradual and organic for me, just from exploration within myself on my personal journey and meeting other amazing people along the way. And then eventually come to New Zealand and then find a passion that I didn't even know I had, which was my cycling and ultra endurance cycling. And my chapter in the book is a story from one of my adventures on that. So yeah, it's been a journey all the way.
Thank you. Janine?
Well, this is may seem a bit expanded. It's not one particular thing, but I have carried gratitude my entire life, and gratitude for me is a deep feeling within my body that is warm, it's inclusive, it's embracing, it opens me into the moment, it connects me into other people's hearts. It's, gratitude is one of the most powerful energetic experiences that comes under the vibrational umbrella of love. And of course, love is the frequency that I work and live through and model here in this life experience. So gratitude comes with that. And it's when we practice it, because it's a practice to bring it into our life fully and not just be in gratitude in a moment, but to be in gratitude always, in every single moment, to know that there is something in that moment that's presenting itself to us if we are present in that moment. So gratitude to me is a very big, it's a big energy, it's a big subject, and it's how I live my life. So, I don't know how else to put it. I was thinking it seems a bit like I'm not bringing it into one piece or one or two pieces, but it's an experience for me, a life experience.
Thank you. Gwenda? Oh, we've lost your sound.
Can't hear you, Gwenda.
Sorry, is that better?
Yes, yeah. Excellent, we can.
I was really hoping you'd bounce to Mary Jo while I was getting my thoughts in order.
My goodness
me.
Mary Jo, what do you want to share?
We're here now, so let's do this. Listening to Janine, I am very grateful to my grandmother for teaching me about gratitude when I was a child, and seeing the way that she lived. Hearing her, she did not use the word constantly about being, I'm grateful. It was the way that she lived that showed her gratitude. So I am very grateful to have had her in my life and bring that to me. Awakening. I'm not sure what your definition or meaning of awakening is. I can't say that I've had any pivotal awakening moment because of the experiences that I've had throughout my life as a seer, as someone that can go between the dimensions and the different realms. It's just been my life. So an awakening moment, no, I can't really say that I've had one. I've had incredible experiences with other beings, other creatures, all sorts throughout my life. The thing that shifted for me is my experience in the operating theatres, and I always thank and give love to this lady when I speak at events, because it was that moment that changed my trajectory of my long-time dream of being a nurse, and changed my acceptance of illness, disease, and dying. So when I laid her out on the 14th day, which was how many days the doctor told her, the surgeon told her that she had to live, I cried as I laid her out, and I can still be in that moment because it was huge. And I made a promise to her because I wanted that lady's life. Listen to where that goes. I wanted that lady's life to mean more than 14 days, because I was with the surgeon. I had to go with him when we delivered that news. And we left her still very deep in the effects of anaesthetic. We left her in tears. And I, as a young nurse, walking back with the surgeon, also in tears. I could not believe that I had to stand with him and deliver this news. And then I laid her out on the 14th day. And there was just something in me that, I wanted her life to mean more than 14 days. So as I laid her out, I made a promise to her that I would go on a quest. No matter how long it took me, I would go on a quest of finding out what is disease, illness, and dying, and do my best to help other people in their life so they didn't have to have 14 days, 28 days, whatever. Oh. And that was a huge pivotal moment for me, not an awakening, but a pivotal moment. And that has been my life's dedication now for 42 years. So that's what I can offer to you today.
Thank you. Mary Jo.
Well, I'm grateful to have this conversation around gratitude. Gratitude is very near and dear to my heart. In what I wanted to leave people who attended our wellness retreats with as a second tool after the awareness of breath was gratitude. And gratitude as not this fanciful idea, but as Janine very much said, a practical tool. It's something that you consciously practice and include into your life, because it is transformative. It is, as you were speaking, Janine, I was being aware of, like seeing through the eyes of source, rather than the eyes of the ego or the separation identity that sees through the eyes of lack or scarcity and so on, and how much gratitude tunes us back in to the present moment of abundance and plenitude, and that all is well in the present moment. So I'm a huge fan of gratitude. I can't say I grew up seeing that demonstrated so much. However, I always had a sense of looking for the silver lining in life. There was something in me that was always looking for the silver lining. And one day, when I was getting a little caught up in my human dramas, the thoughts of my mind, an awareness came to me of life is all about experience, and everyone has a story. And that instantaneously released me from listening to the thoughts in my mind that felt, perhaps hard done by or victimized or whatever, and just released me and put me back in the present moment. And just that sense that life is just an experience. And I just got, and always seem to carry through that sense of knowingness that life is all an experience and everyone has a story. And then it was really in 2009 that myself and Steve, I read this book called Integrity is Everything. And it really awoken me, talking about awakening moments, it really awoken in me the practicality, if you like, and the realness that we are creator beings and we get to design our life and create our life. And it was like this awareness of we haven't really been activating that within ourselves. And we started to really commit to that. And of course, there's a lot more to that story. And one of the practices was turning the TV off and gratitude and journaling. And that was a big turning point, 2009, to really start rewriting the script, so to speak, of the belief systems and the thoughts and the attitude and the focus. And then actually not that long after, in March 2010, I did have an awakening, transformative experience. I was thankfully connecting with some beautiful people around the world and realizing what an energetic, sensitive being I was, it was still conceptual in a way. And on March 20th, 2010, I had this, what I call a Kundalini awakening, an activation of the heart, energy, like so much energy moving through my body. And yeah, and I realized I am the universe in person. And it seemed crazy talk that I didn't say out loud for a long time, but it was just, I realized the biggerness of who I truly was. And yeah, it was a real shift, you could say, in my perceptional lens of my consciousness. And there was definitely no going back in the box, so to speak. There was only emptying the box out, which is called the dark night of the soul, or just, realizing what had created the limitations and resolving those energies. And so the practice of gratitude has been, has continued on to really, and it's what I've written about in my chapter, because it's so profound, it's so transformational, and I really feel that one practice, breath, and that one practice can really, and that's what I share about is my own story of moving from anxiety back into alignment, and then again I say it's like taking one's hand out of the scared, disconnected place of fear, and reconnecting to the present moment and the abundance of what is, and then to open the heart and the connectivity, then to reimagine or to tap into the imagination of what we truly desire. So yeah, I'm so passionate about gratitude because it's so practical and that's why I'm practical to share about it as well, because it's like so many things that are simple can be overlooked as too simple by the human nature, and so we can overlook it and think it's a bit wishy-washy, but it's like I love sharing like the profundity of the practicality of the tool, again, as a practice, whether it's yoga, meditation, gratitude, they're all transformative practices for life and embodiment and empowerment. So yeah, there's a gratitude fan here.
Janine, while you were talking, the word came into my head, forgiveness. And I thought, you know what? They want us to talk about the word forgiveness as well. So I'm actually not going to start this, although I obviously have very, when I say strong feelings, I have real feelings around the word forgiveness and the actual meaning of forgiveness. So Gwenda, if you're ready, forgiveness, let's come to you first. And if you've turned your mic off, please can you turn it back on again?
Forgiveness. It's a very deep word. It's an even deeper process, for want of a better word. Many people think that forgiveness means forgiving the wrongdoing of someone else. But the real deep part of it and the greater learning and the wisdom is forgiving of self. Being able to do that is very difficult for a lot of people. Being able to accept that there was some participation of you in whatever took place, that's a really hard task for a lot of people to accept. So it's much easier to point fingers at someone else and say, I forgive them. When forgiveness to the heart, forgiveness to the humanness, the human experience, is where we really find true healing, deep healing. It's probably one of the most difficult practices to master when you are going through uniting yourself with your divine self, and the divine means that you've got to be able to observe yourself as the human and understand what it is to be in that human experience. and then forgive everything that has been you in that human experience. Forgiving others is quite often easy, except it usually has some kind of clause with it. I forgive you, but I won't forget. I forgive you, but if you, so there's that negates it really. So forgiveness is a massive key to healing and to your own union with your divine self. And as I said to a lady at a workshop today who's begun her healing journey, enjoy the ride and make it fun. And this, I think, is what gets caught up in a lot of this, even with forgiveness and gratitude. It becomes heavy, it becomes serious, and that takes us away from our divinity and that pure love, pure joy. So if we look at forgiveness as something in a way of kindness and love towards ourselves for, hey, being a human at the end of the day and made a dumb mistake, dumb choice, but I forgive myself. And for me also, forgiveness is very important to going and reviewing the different versions of you, because quite often what you're carrying with you is a part of you that you've not been able to give love to from that time because of your choices, whatever you were doing, and usually intertwined with someone else. So visiting those former versions of you and being able to embrace with full forgiveness, gratitude, love, then we have wonderful healing. So to me, that's forgiveness, a very important part of our journey.
Thank you so much. Mary Jo.
But you're going to go to Janine. I decided. You're mixing it up here, Sarah.
Absolutely, that's the idea.
You're going to get every combination, aren't you? When you talked about, when you said about forgiveness, the word that pops in for me is acceptance. That forgiveness is a key to acceptance, and acceptance is a key to forgiveness. And I feel also that there's a readiness, there's a readiness there as well in the journey, and each is on their own path with that. And sometimes it's too heavy to not forgive. It's the suffering of not forgiving can outweigh the discomfort of forgiving and re-loving those parts of self and re-accepting and re-looking at those parts. And again, it's interesting with forgiveness, gratitude, all these things, because I think, that's what I've noticed, is they can be perceived in a way that can seem disempowering until they're not, until we kind of flip the switch. And so like gratitude, as you said, it can, and even a younger sister of mine, when I shared the chapter for the book, one of the things she said is, she's a mom with 2 young kids. And one of the things she said is, she didn't really like the chapter title with gratitude because it had become a heavy word for her, because there's so much on social media about gratitude, and she's doing her best, and yet there's this, I need to be grateful for everything. And rather than just meeting yourself where you are. And I guess forgiveness as well is I guess it's when we get to that place where it's not an effort or it's not a trying, it's just I'm ready to let this go, whatever it is. I'm ready to accept what has been rejected within me or what I haven't forgiven. And I do love, as Gwenda pointed out, helping people to realize that forgiveness isn't about other people, that it truly is about the self, but also forgiving others can be it can be that stepping stone into the self. Or if we're ready to go directly to the self, then the forgiveness for others is automatic. It's already imbued within that. And then on another level, on the higher level, there's nothing to forgive because there is no judgment on anything. So it's releasing the judgment, and on the energetic level, it's releasing the energy being stuck in a pattern. And so when we're ready to go, I'm ready to put down this pattern. That's when we're ready to forgive. Because on some level, there does have to be some level of willingness, deservability, as you said, kindness or self-love, or because I'm worth it. Some part that's going, I deserve to lighten my load, so to speak. I deserve to let this go. I deserve for peace, because of course that's what disturbs our peace, is unforgiveness. So when we can start to forgive, we can have more peace and harmony and alignment with our true self, where it's all forgiven anyways, and there's nothing to forgive. So forgiveness really is for the human aspect. I perceive it as a way to let ourselves off our own hooks of judgment and step back into receiving again, the love, the abundance, the ease, the joy, whatever is on our hearts, whatever those desires are that we're ready to receive. And also the other side of it as well is that really compassion comes from that as well. Through the forgiveness process is, as you said as well, Gwenda, like compassion for the human. And actually, I'll just tell you a little bit. I was in, as Janine had mentioned before we hopped on, I've been in the Bahamas swimming with dolphins, which was a very beautiful experience from New Zealand. I was swimming in the water one day, and I was just tuning in, and what I found myself saying as I'm floating in the water, I was doing some toning, I was just doing some tuning in, but the words that came through was, I forgive myself for being human. And as I did that, tears just flowed through my eyes. And I was very much connecting with the water and the dolphins, and just realizing through the human nature, what we've created as well with other species on this planet. So there's a real forgiveness around that for myself and for the human nature. The human nature, that has been in forgetfulness and disconnection, or at least the perception of it, and where we've created from that perspective, that focal point, ultimately of source, but believing ourselves as separate from source. So, forgiveness, gratitude, these are all potent ways of self-realization, of coming back to the self and coming back to the wholeness. And again, that place of going, all is lovable, all is forgiven, all is well.
Thank you. Janine.
So much of what Gwenda said is, I would have put exactly the same way. I would have used exactly the same words, and I resonated strongly with what you said, Gwenda. And there were parts of what Mary Jo said as well that I resonate with. And one of the parts is that, of course, on the highest level of us, on the deepest, most expanded level of us, of course, there's nothing to forgive, because soul loves every experience it can create for itself here in the human form. And there is no wrong, there is no right, there simply is. But while we're moving to that, while we're deepening into that remembrance, it's always good to realize that if we're ready to release ourselves, if we look back at all the versions of ourselves over this life and realize that in every moment we were doing the very best that we knew how with who we knew ourselves to be. And there's nothing to forgive then. And then if we look at our parents as the little child and we realize that they were only doing the best that they could with who they knew themselves to be as the mum or the dad, and we bring into it the fact that their childhood was possibly very similar with their own parents, and so on, and it stops with us here in this generation, in this lifetime. It stops with us. We're cleaning out, we're moving through and cleansing out the ancestral lines and the generational lines and patterns and and it's all with us to do this. And so, forgiveness comes with judgment. And when judgment ceases, when we move into that neutral state, neutral state of being, the deeper, more expanded state of ourself, there is nothing to forgive. And we will realize, and we're realizing this now, myself, I can only ever speak for myself. I don't have a need now in me to forgive. I've only just realized that tonight when you put up the topic of forgiveness. And I thought, gosh, how long has it been since I've needed to forgive anything? It's like, where did that go? When did that happen? So it's, I've been kind of sitting with that while I've been listening to each person's share. It's like, okay, it's a piece for me to be with when we've left here, and I'm just sitting, So thank you for that. And that's probably all I've got to say on forgiveness.
Thank you, Janine. Steve?
Yeah, I resonate and echo with what's been said by Gwenda, Janine, and Mary Jo. I think it's all very relevant. And I think, in this timeline frequency that we're in, if there can be more forgiveness on a collective and personal, then the world will become more, in harmony. But then as we're moving in, like Janine alluded to, moving into different timelines and frequencies, that it's all going to be in the past anyway, and it's all going to be dissipated. So, we're moving into a better world, and it's been interesting to listen to you all anyway about forgiveness, because and I think it's important, just to forgive yourself. And I've had to do some of that as well, And I think it's a personal journey for sure. But thank you.
Thank you, Steve. I love what you said, sort of, Janine, and it's just about you haven't forgiven. Because for me, that means you've stayed out of judgment, you stayed out of your humanness, and therefore you haven't gone into a judgment that you've potentially got wrong, whatever, and therefore there has been no need to forgive. Forgiveness becomes obsolete. And so this thing about, if you hold a coal, and your anger is like holding a coal and expecting the other person to get burnt. You're the only person that's going to be hurt by you holding on to your anger about things is you. And in respect of, you can only ever go with the information and knowledge you have at the time with any decision that you make, and you make that best decision. And having made that decision and taken the action that goes with it, you learn. So you sort of talked about the previous self. Where I was with the information I had, that was the only things I had to decide from. And if we think, I've got to see if there's more information out there, we'll never make a decision. We sit on the fence, and the universe makes the decision for us. So we're not in control. So we're here to have the human experience. We are absolutely here to have it. Our soul has chosen it. And the experiences that we have, it's really important. And therefore, forgiveness of self, absolutely. When you said that, Gwenda, it was just like 100%. The most important person for you to forgive is yourself. And one of those aspects is for allowing what other people have said and done to you to affect you in the way it has. It's for us to have control of our own lives and our responses, our reactions. And if we go into an overreaction, for want of a better way of putting it, that is our choice to participate in that. So much of what other people say and do is about what's going on in their life and actually has nothing to do with us. So holding that energy of being able to stay out of reaction, And you're staying out of reaction because you're staying out of judgment, which is obviously another really strong word, but we're not going into anymore because we've already been running for just over an hour. But I think self-forgiveness is, along with gratitude of everything that's happened in our life, they are the gifts of wisdom. They are obviously love, but they are part of love. They are a huge aspect of love. And so I am very, very grateful to each and every one of you participating in what I feel has been a really powerful conversation. And I really hope this touches, well, I know it'll touch the lives it is meant to. And I know we've already gone over the hour, but I'd like to come to each and every one of you and say, is there anything that we haven't touched on, and there's been so much that we haven't touched on, that you feel from your perspective is important to add right now? And I am just going to go round my screen as it is, and I'm actually going to start with you, Steve.
What came to me when you asked the question was presence. Just being present. And yeah, I don't need to say any more, I don't think. Just presence.
Thank you, Steve. Mary Jo.
For me, the word is compassion. Compassion for the journey, compassion for the humanness, and a compassion that comes from forgiveness, and it comes from, just making peace with ourselves and the journey. And as we do that for ourselves, we do that for the world. We do it for all else.
Thank you. Gwenda.
Have a ball on this human experience. Make it one heck of a Mighty Mouse ride and have a ball. Don't get caught up in all the hubbub. Go to your heart, go to yourself, and really, really take the time to get to know you. When you get to know you, the world around you will be a very different place. Show yourself loads of kindness, laugh at yourself, be loving, be compassionate, all these big words. How about just have fun? Have fun and be you. Don't be anybody else because it's already taken. Be you and have a blast. And when you leave this world, slide in there sideways going, what a ride. I had a ball and I love me. See you later. See you next time.
Brilliant. Thank you, Janine.
Adios, adios.
We're not mind-driven beings. We've been led to believe we're mind-driven beings, but we're actually heart-centered beings. We are feeling beings. We are not thinking beings. So I would say come on down from your thinking mind into your body-heart awareness and feel yourself present in the moment through your body. And this way, life becomes so much more. So much more. It's like Steve said before, it's about presence. We come into full presence with ourselves in the body, in the heart, in the feeling our way forward in life. Feeling gives us an expanded 360-degree view of the moment we stand in. Thinking brings us into a narrowed perception, an idea, a belief, and it narrows it right down. So come into the moment in presence, be in our feelings, and allow our body heart awareness, which is our radar and our antenna, allow it to touch the field around us and bring in all the data that's right here with us in the field. That's what I would say. That's the journey from mind, from head to heart, from mind to body. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd add to that is be the love of your own life. Whatever you've been taught about loving yourself, unless it is that it is okay to do that, in fact, it is essential to do that, please ignore it. Because when we love ourselves, when we care about ourselves, when we trust and believe in ourselves, we can bring so much more to the world. recently, 1st of April, I wrote an article that I recorded, and it's called "You Didn't Become Selfish, You Became Harder to Manipulate." I put that video up on the 1st of April. As of last night, that video has had 41,000 hits. That is how important it is to be true to who you are and to stop letting others manipulate you. Be true to yourself. You haven't become selfish, because when we are truest to ourselves, we can bring so much more. We can bring our own gifts to others. So thank you to each and every one of you for participating in this conversation. It has been amazing. The links to each of my guests' websites are up there in the chat for those of you that are watching live. For those of you that are watching the recording, the website addresses for each and every one of us are under the video on YouTube. Please go into the information underneath. You will find the link to each and every one of us. It has been a real pleasure. Next week, we have a Today's Conversation, Unearthing Your Greatness Within, with Bradford Tilden. And so I hope that you'll think about joining us. We will be back to our normal time of UK time, 7:30 p.m. rather than 7:30 a.m. Next week. But because my guests have all been in Australia and New Zealand today, I am so grateful to each and every one of you for your time, for your wisdom that you have brought today. Thank you all. Love, peace, and light. Namaste.
Thank you, Sara Jane.
Thank you,
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.